What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another video on Aviation Station. Today we are completing our trip down to Florida from Atlanta. The last video we landed into Atlanta and parked at terminal, I believe it was C, on the other end of the airport. This time we are leaving from the international terminal. I don't know why they had us leaving from this terminal, but let me tell you, it was a hike. I had an hour layover, and I decided that I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna take my time and I'm just gonna walk. So I, like, you know how they have that tram underneath the airport? I walked the whole way. It took me, by the time I got to the gate, they had already started boarding, and I was like, I should have taken the tram. It really put in perspective to me how big Atlanta is and all that stuff. Anyways, let's get into the flight today. Once again, the actual flight down, we flew a 737-200 series without winglets, which is actually really surprising because I always thought all 737s have winglets now because of the fuel efficiency. I thought all airlines added those if they retrofitted them with them if they didn't come with them already. But as you can see, we are flying the Flight Factor A320 today. This is the best comparison I have to the 757 because, in my opinion, the A320 family is in comparison to the 757 family on the Boeing side of it. At least the bigger A320 family. The smaller A320 family, like the A318, 19, in my mind, kind of compete against the 737. And then once you get into like the 20 and 21s, those start competing with the 757. So I thought, why not? Because I don't have the Flight Factor 757, which I'm looking into getting because it looks like a very good aircraft to get. But I do not have that yet, so we are using this as a comparison. Well, alright, so we all are ready to go, so we're going to hop into the cockpit here, and we are going to start that pushback. If you hear that talking, it's official. We finally got better pushback. I know I've been wanting to get it forever, and I've been talking about getting it forever, and finally I bit the bullet and dove in and really looked into how to getting it. This pushback is quite long, so it's actually sped up. This is 2 times quicker than it actually is in real life, just a heads up. So if you're wondering, that's why the aircraft's moving so fast. But Better Pushback is an amazing plugin. I absolutely love it. It makes it so much more realistic for me because you kind of can place the aircraft where you want. It's not either just a straight back pushback or even the X-plane pushbacks. If you tell it to go left, for me it never actually does that. It just pushes you farther back straight. So right now we are pushing back. We're starting engine number 2. Engine 2 has been started. Once the pushback is kind of stopped, I will hop up, and that's when I start engine 1. That's usually how I do it. I think that's
operation complete. Go ahead and set the parking brake.
I think that's one of like the better ways to do it because I feel like that's how they do it in the real world. Is they kind of start one while the pushback is happening, and then as the push part is unhooking from the aircraft and moving away is when they're starting engine number 2. Of course, you see all these aircraft moving in the background. We are running World Traffic version 3, which again, every video I've posted on here has had World Traffic on, and it's just an amazing plugin as well. I only have 2 plugins in X-plane, and it is World Traffic and then Better Pushback. I don't really count the aircraft as plugins. They're more like assets added, which of course this is an asset that is added to the game, but I feel like everyone, their first step kind of going into that more realism is flying with the A320 because it is a very easy aircraft to fly, but it's also, it's very complicated, like the systems, you kind of just got to get into a rhythm and it really teaches you that rhythm. So here we are, we're going to start hopping around the taxi because it was a little bit of a long taxi, a lot of traffic was building up on the taxiway, so we kind of just had to get through that. So you saw a quick jump there, so we are now taxiing parallel to 25 right, which is the departing runway that we're using today. And we're following the 757-200, which is ironic. Also, another thing I learned, and this is literally, I don't know why I've never caught onto this, because I do watch like Jeff Favignano and Castrator. I watch them fly on X-Plane all the time. If you listen closely, they tell you how you can do those camera movements. So I just found that out. So you'll see that my camera movements are more quickly, and they like actually go through the aircraft more than the choppiness of what I used to do before, because what I used to do was just use like the W key to go boom right to the cockpit, but I've set up my numpad to kind of hop around the aircraft. So here we are, we're right outside of 27 right, we're waiting for this Boeing 757 to depart. As you see, it's turning onto the runway right now. There we go, we turn a little bit just to get a better view. I have noticed though, world traffic, I don't know if they do this on purpose, but when an aircraft lines up, it does take a second for the aircraft to depart, which in my opinion is not really true. I feel like if an aircraft were to be given takeoff clearance, they just get up and go, which I'm guessing this aircraft was actually given a line up and wait, so I guess this makes sense. But they line up and wait for a very long time. You'll see that when we get on there too, we have to wait a little bit, or no. So like the actual aircraft, when they're given a line up and wait, they like actually wait, and when they're given a takeoff, they wait a little bit as well. But you'll see here that I say I'm holding short, and it says clear for takeoff. It doesn't register the fact that there is still an aircraft taking off on the runway, which is why I think when I get on, I do hold for just a second as I watch that 757 depart, kind of give it spacing, because I mean that's realistically what pilots would do. And you'll
approaching 27 right.
Thank you. And you'll also see on departure that we have a, I believe it's also a 757. If not, it's an A321, who starts approaching into the runway.
On runway 27 right.
So there we go. I'm looking just a little bit ahead for that spacing. That 757 looks to get a pretty good distance before I start revving up those engines. And there we have the takeoff click for the throttles. Auto throttles is engaged. And here we go. We are zooming down runway 27 right at Atlanta International Airport. Here's the 757 approaching in on us. Rotate. A little rocky on the climb there. Toss the brake gear up. Alright, while we are departing Atlanta, I did want to talk, this will probably kind of go into the arrival part of the, into West Palm Beach as well. I wanted to talk about the Embraer like 145 series, or the 140 family that came out by X-Crafts. I did invest in that. It was a little steep, but I'm very interested because I do really like the regional jets. I have the E170 and the E195, which is the regional jets where the engines are below the wings. The E45 family is when the engines are in the back. I do have to say I absolutely love them. I've only done a couple flights with them, but they're so easy to fly, they're so intuitive, and it's actually been teaching me a lot about the aircraft family that I didn't even really know, like the fact that it doesn't have auto throttles in the real plane. So the whole time the pilots are controlling the throttles themselves. However, for simplicity's sake, they did add auto throttles to the simulated version because a lot of people, like, especially like me, if I'm doing long flights, like I'm pretty sure this flight was about an hour and a half, maybe a little bit less. The cruising part, and you guys really don't see that because I cut it right at about the 10,000 feet mark, and then we hop into cruise for a little bit and then hop back down. They added auto throttles because during that cruise I like to just like do other things, like work on homework and stuff like that, just kind of step away from the flight and kind of let it do its own thing. So the auto throttles are really nice in the simulated version, so because I don't want to really in real life sit here for 3 hours controlling the throttles. Basically, if I was an actual pilot and I was in the aircraft, I would not mind that at all, because I mean, hello, you're in an airplane flying above the ground, so like that wouldn't really matter. But the fact that I'm sitting in a room for like 3 hours or an hour and a half like this flight, it makes it easier to just turn on that auto throttle and just kind of step back and be able to work on other things. And it's also easier to clarify that to your parents when they ask you what you're doing with your life. So here we are at cruise. We're cruising about 36,000 feet on this flight today. And I know I've said this before because I flew this A320 to Honolulu as a Southwest. I love this aircraft. This aircraft is so well made and so well put together. I literally cannot get past it. This and the Zibo probably are my favorite aircraft right now, which we flew the Zibo to Atlanta as a makeshift. MD-88 is what we actually flew, but we flew that 737, the Zibo, to kind of clarify that. I think this is where we're going to end this series. I think we're going to, from now on, we're just going to do random flights. We're not going to actually recreate this because, spoiler alert, the flights back were the same way. So it was a 757 from West Palm to Atlanta, and then from Atlanta to Cincinnati. It was actually a 737-700 series this time, so it actually would have made more sense, and I think I said that in the video, that it made more sense to kind of say that that was the return flight just backwards. But honestly, because I'm so excited to jump into different aircrafts on this channel, I really want to do a flight in the E170 because I personally love that aircraft, the way that aircraft handles, and the smaller airports, the really cool airports that you can fly into with it are amazing. That also brings up a really good point. If you guys want me to fly into a specific airport or something like that, or a specific aircraft, please feel free to comment it down below. I am so open to ideas and suggestions of what you want to see on this channel, because I've said this before, but as you can see, I'm not really good at schedules, but I really want to start holding myself to that schedule, and I feel like if I have recommendations and I've already have a couple flights planned out, that'll help me keep to that schedule and stuff like that. And I do have a little bit more free time now that things are settling down, so I will be able to more consistently upload. But I also want to bring in some different videos that aren't just X-Plane, but are aviation related. Like Tower 3D Pro, I'm having a lot of fun with that game right now, so I'm thinking that we might bring that in as well. And also, like right now, this is a voiceover, so I do record the videos and then talk over them. But I did just find a way, and I found a good mic to use, so I can actually record my voice as I'm playing games, and it sounds good. So I think we're gonna start doing that. So the voice is more gonna be in tune with what's happening on the screen and all that stuff. Which I'm super excited about, because I think that's really what's been missing from these videos, is me just doing this voiceover isn't really interesting. Maybe it is interesting for you, but for me, it's I do the flight, I edit the video, and then I sit here for like 30 minutes and talk to a screen, which, I mean, some people might find that interesting, but I can't say I do. But realistically, I'm just really excited. We do have an air show coming up around here in a couple weeks. I'm going to that. If you want to see that, please let me know, because I will post like a montage of everything that I see there, because I'm so excited. And then I also just heard that Flight Expo was last weekend, or this just past weekend, and I heard a lot of great things coming from there. And I also just saw a preview for Microsoft's new flight simulator. The video looks so good. Like, I was very surprised at how good it looked. I'm just curious if the game is gonna look that good, or it's just like a pre-rendered video as the trailer that makes it look that good. Because like if you look at other games that come out, like Planet Coaster, their game actually looks very similar to their release trailer, but that trailer was pre-rendered and it looked just a little bit better. And the same thing with Planet Zoo, which is coming out in November, which I'm also super excited about. If you guys want to see me play other games too, please let me know, because I will, because I love just playing games. I love sitting down and just like playing simulation games, like that kind of stuff. But I'm really curious if this flight simulator is actually going to look as good as we're all hoping. And if it does, X-Plane has a real competitor coming in for it. I don't know. I think it's really going to create a divide in the simulating community on the preferred simulator. And yeah, it's really interesting. I'm really interested to see where it goes. And it also looks like it's going to be compatible with Xbox, which is insane, because for my life, I can't remember a flight simulator for a console, and that's just going to be crazy. Hopefully, I was watching a couple videos, and it is true, when a game is developed for a console and PC at the same time, they usually come out and they're just below par, because there are certain steps you have to take to really make it nice on console and PC. So I am really curious how that's going to happen.
Altimeter setting.
Alright, so as you saw there, we had about a 5 or so minute clip at cruise altitude, and then we jumped to that 10,000 feet mark here in West Palm. We see it's a little overcast day here, which actually, while I was landing in West Palm, it was a super sunny day, but we flew through rain, which was really interesting. It was raining while we landed, and then when I was in my Uber to my aunt's house, it opened up in the sky, and it was just gorgeous, which is classic Florida right there. So here you see we break out of the clouds, and just a little bit ahead of us, about a little less than 20 miles ahead of us, we do have West Palm Beach in front of us. We have picked up the localizer, but not the glide slope yet, and you will see that come alive here very shortly. And honestly, this landing is one of the landings I'm more proud about, if I can remember correctly, because I've said this before, my landings are rough, and I've had some real rough landings lately while I've been flying, so I am very proud of this landing. I know it's not perfect by any means, but I'm still trying to work on it. But this aircraft is very easy to land too. It's very consistent and it's very nice. Same with the Zebo. I'm getting pretty good with the Zebo. The center line is the hardest thing for me, and I think it's just because of how the screen kind of shows it, and you kind of got to get used to every aircraft on where to kind of line that line up so you land right on it. You can see that glide slope slowly coming down. It's approaching that second dot there on the top. We have our auto brakes set. We have our spoilers armed. Once that glide slope is captured, you'll see the gear come down. Glide slope captured. Well, it says it's captured, but it's going to wait just a little bit longer. Here's that capture, gear down. That also means we bring our flaps to flaps 15 in the A320. There you go. There's see, these are the kind of views I was looking for, and that's what these specialized cameras can really open up, is these kind of views, like the wing views. That's what I feel like we were missing before. Here we have an outside view of the aircraft, not fully configured because the flaps do come down 2 more notches after the 15 mark. But basically, with the gear down and the flaps starting to come down. There we go, bringing those flaps down slowly and surely, slowing the aircraft down, and then fully configuring. I think that is flaps full, because you saw on the screen there that the flaps full mark was unchecked on the landing checklist on the middle console, and now that it's gone. I'm going to be quiet and let you guys just enjoy this landing, and we'll talk about it during the replays.
Approaching 10 left. Unstable, unstable.
400. 300. 200. 100. 50, 40, 30, 20, retard, 10, 5.
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to West Palm Beach International Airport.
Approaching 3, 2.
As we cross that cross runway right in front of us, we're going to pass this taxiway and take the next one as we slowly clean up the aircraft. And by slowly, I mean we're doing it pretty quickly. Now, this was the exact runway that we landed on our way to Florida. And as you saw in the arrival video, we kind of came off the runway. I'm pretty sure almost at the exact same taxiway we do here, but if you noticed, they kind of pulled forward and then really yanked a turn. I think the ground control was like, whoa, 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 that's not the way we wanted you to go here, buddy. So they kind of made us go, we're going to go straight into the terminal area, the ramp area. They made us come off, and then we took a hard right here and went down and then back up. And it was because there was an airplane in this alleyway straight ahead of us that was leaving the gate we were supposed to go into. So we were just, I think we landed 5 minutes early. And so they were just sitting in the alleyway still, so we had to wait. So I think they left this area clear for them to get out. We are going to hop to the replays here, so sit back and enjoy the replays, and let's see how we did from the outside of the aircraft. I really don't know where the unstable calls came from, because when I was controlling the aircraft, in no way did it seem unstable. I think the aircraft was just a little upset with what was happening. A little off the center line, but we were pretty close. We have that left tire on the center line, not the front tire, the back tire. So it's not my worst off-center landing ever, but it's definitely not my best. So that's one thing we really need to keep working on. And this view is actually really funny because this is the view I had while landing in West Palm. Granted, the scenery isn't exactly the same, but I was right on the wing, so I had this view of the landing, which is why I really like this view, is because it really puts you in the mindset of you're on the aircraft, how the passengers would feel. Because sometimes you might think you have a good landing, Then you hop into the back to like this view or the other view that I have on the other wing, and you're just like, oh my gosh, the passengers went through so much. Like, obviously they'd be throwing up into their air sickness bags. We also touched down at a very good length into the runway. We touched down right where they want you to, right in that the bulk of where all the landings are supposed to be. So that's good because I'm known for floating or jumping the aircraft. So I was very happy to just kind of plant it. It was a soft plant, but we planted it down in that landing zone and slowly brought it down. I definitely think this was one of my better landings as we hop back into the taxi to the terminal. It was definitely one of my better landings. I was really happy with how it went, and I'm really excited to see how my landings kind of progress and we start to get really good with landing in crosswinds and everything. If you look up here, there's an A320 parked at the terminal. That is exactly where we parked when we came in. We parked the very last gate right up close to the actual main terminal building. So we got a really good view of the aircraft as you were leaving the gate area. So we actually, I think we take the gate right next to where the A320 is parked. And you'll notice there's a couple jumps here on this video because I did have some trouble with the braking system of the aircraft. So, and realistically, I'm going to show you an outside view, and I stop it before because for some reason it wouldn't stop. So I hopped back in real quick and stopped it. So the actual stopping point is a little ahead of where this video cuts off. And I think I figured out what the braking problem is, but I'm not sure, so we'll just keep an eye on it. As you see, I was trying to stop it, and then we kind of hop into here and try to trick you to say it was a really good gate stop. Here we are, we're turning off those engines, going on to APU power, which I don't know if I showed starting. I'm pretty sure I did, but I started usually right as I'm exiting the runway. There we go, getting the aircraft all cleaned up, and then we're going to hop out to an outside view. And that is where I get to say thank you guys so much for watching on this another video from Aviation Station. I do promise that I will start uploading on a schedule now that things are calmed down. I think I have a really good filming schedule kind of picked out where I know when I'm going to film, I know when I'm going to upload. I think I'm going to still upload on Wednesdays, at least for X-Plane, and if I want to add another video of another aviation-centered game, I'll upload it on like a Sunday or Saturday. But other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed this flight to West Palm Beach. Welcome to Florida. I always do this when it's like cold or raining up in Ohio. I always fly to Florida or California because it just makes me believe I'm there. But once again, guys, thank you so much. If you have any suggestions on how I could get better at the simulator, how I can, ideas for flights, airports that you want me to go to, aircraft you want to see me use, relatively speaking, I'm on a budget. I will try my hardest to do everything that you guys suggest because I'm really want to get this going where like it's a community, we all get to have fun, we all get to just like really enjoy aviation together. And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, thank you again so much. Feel free to leave a like and subscribe to the channel because there will be more videos coming, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Peace.